What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the ZayMoolaSportsPodcast. I'm your host, Isaiah. And on Tuesday night, we received some incredibly shocking news as the Las Vegas Raiders announced that the Baltimore Ravens have rescinded the Maxx Crosby trade. And the reason the Ravens did so is because he failed his physical. And y'all, I know it's been 2 days since this news broke, but I am still utterly surprised at what transpired. This is probably the most bizarre situation I've ever seen in sports, because normally when a team agrees to trade for a superstar player, they're going to make sure that trade is able to be finalized. And it seems like everyone thought that it was going to be finalized, because Maxx Crosby was posting pictures of him being in Baltimore, and he was talking about how fired up he was to be, a part of the Ravens organization, that he was really ready, to compete for and potentially win the Super Bowl. And then you had, a lot of Ravens players talking about how excited they were to be able to play with a premier player like Maxx Crosby. And so everyone thought that this trade was a done deal, y'all. But then at the last second, for whatever reason, the Baltimore Ravens felt like they cannot proceed with this trade because allegedly he was not healthy enough. And y'all, I honestly feel really bad for Maxx Crosby because he is a superstar player. He's one of the best players in the NFL, and I really want to see him on the Baltimore Ravens, because that was going to be the first time in his career that he at least had an opportunity to be a part of a team that could potentially compete for a Super Bowl. And now he no longer has the opportunity, so I really feel, bad for him. But I cannot wait to see what he does this upcoming season now that he's back in Las Vegas playing for the Las Vegas Raiders. But here's the thing, y'all. I have a ton of respect for the Ravens organization. I think they're one of the best organizations in the NFL. But I'm absolutely disgusted in the manner in which they handled this situation, because I don't believe their reason for not proceeding with this trade. I know Eric DaCosta, their GM, came out and said that they did not feel like Maxx Crosby was healthy enough for them able to proceed with this trade. But I don't believe that at all, y'all, because here's the thing. Everyone knew that Maxx Crosby was having surgery on his torn meniscus during the offseason. That was not a surprise to anyone. It wasn't a secret to anyone. Everyone knew that. And the fact that the Ravens failed him on his physical because of that is absolutely ridiculous. Why in the world would the Ravens agree to make the trade in the first place if they had concerns about his health? Isn't that strange, y'all? Why would you make a trade, or why would you agree to make a trade for a player that you don't feel certain is 100% healthy? That's very strange. So again, y'all, I don't believe the Ravens' reason at all for not doing this trade was because of his health. No, I think the reason the Ravens could not proceed with this trade is because they were upset with the Raiders. And you probably ask yourself, why would the Ravens be upset with the Raiders? Well, here's the thing, y'all. The Raiders were able to sign Tyler Linderbaum, former Pro Bowl center for the Baltimore Ravens. And we all knew that the Baltimore Ravens were very aggressive in terms of trying to re-sign Tyler Linderbaum. Eric DaCosta stated at the Combine that they had offered him a contract extension that would have made him the highest paid center in the NFL. But Tyler Linderbaum wanted to, kind of gauge his interest on the market. And that's what he did, y'all. And lo and behold, the Las Vegas Raiders gave him a 3-year, $81 million deal. And I think the Ravens saw that and they were very upset, because they were probably thinking, well, the Raiders already had, our first round picks this year and next year. And now they just, stole, quote unquote, one of our best players in Tyler Linderbaum. We have to find a way to sabotage them. And y'all, I know that might sound strange, but I honestly think that's what the Ravens were trying to do. They wanted to sabotage the Las Vegas Raiders because they were upset that the Raiders were able to acquire one of their former players in Tyler Linderbaum. And so they wanted to sabotage them by rescinding the trade, which would have meant, y'all, that the Raiders had, $30 less million in salary cap. Because here's the thing, the Raiders made a ton of moves for agency, right? Signing guys like Tyler Linderbaum and Jalen Naylor, Eric Stokes, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, right? They were handing out big time money to these players because they were under the assumption, that they had a ton of cap space. But then when the Ravens decided to rescind the trade, that meant they had $30 less million in salary cap space because they had to take back Maxx Crosby's contract. And I think the Ravens were hoping, y'all, that meant that the Raiders were not able to sign Tyler Linderbaum. But fortunately, the Raiders were still able to sign him, and now he's a member of their franchise. But y'all, that's what I believe. And again, that might sound far-fetched, but I honestly believe that's why the Ravens did not proceed with this trade, because again, they knew that he was not 100% healthy. Why? Because he had surgery during the offseason, but he and his agent came out and said that he's going to be ready to go for the start of the season. So that's all that matters. That's all that matters, y'all. He might not be healthy in March, but as long as he's healthy by September, that's all that matters, right? Maxx Crosby is an absolute dominant player. He's going to have a dominant year yet again. And y'all, I think he's going to have the best year of his career, because he's incredibly upset with the Ravens and the way they handled this situation, because this is really kind of, tarnished his reputation. Because now people are going to be looking at him like he's the guy that, was not healthy enough to be able to be traded. And that looks really bad, y'all. And listen, it's great for the Raiders because now they get their franchise player back. But for Maxx Crosby, this just makes him look really horrible, because some people might think that he's an injury-prone guy, which is farther from the truth. But that's what some people might think. And so again, y'all, I have a ton of respect for the Ravens organization. I think they're one of the best organizations in the NFL. But they handled this totally wrong. Absolutely wrong. If they didn't think he was healthy enough, they should have never agreed to make this trade in the first place. Point blank, period. But instead, y'all, they agreed to make the trade. But then when they saw that the Raiders had both of their first round picks and one of their best players, they were like, oh no, we have to do something about this. We're going to rescind this trade, and we're going to try to sabotage him so they're not able to sign Tyler Linderbaum. But again, y'all, it worked out in the Raiders' favor, because not only do they have Tyler Linderbaum, but now they have Maxx Crosby back as well, and they should be, a much improved team this upcoming season. And for the Ravens, now they were able to sign Trey Henderson, but I think Maxx Crosby is a better player. So I think they kind of got worse. Although Trey Henderson is a very good player, Maxx Crosby is a superstar player. He's a dominant edge rusher in the NFL, one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. So I'm incredibly excited for the Las Vegas Raiders, y'all, because again, they got their franchise player back, and we know how much pride Maxx Crosby has in playing for their organization. And for the Baltimore Ravens, just utterly disgusted with them, because they could have handled this in a much better way, which would have been to never agree to make a trade in the first place. And so, y'all, we'll see how this trade will play out for both teams. But right now, I just really love this for the Raiders, and I'm just really absolutely disgusted with the Baltimore Ravens. So there I have it, man. This was my take on the Ravens rescinding the Maxx Crosby trade and why I don't like the manner in which they handled it. Remember, y'all, laughter is good medicine. So what? Make sure you get your daily dose. Y'all know I'm the end, man. I love y'all. God bless. Peace.